AI psychosis. You're probably hearing a lot about it. Our brains are being affected.
Are they rotting out?
And we are being guided back to our hearts. And that's what we're here to talk about.
When we engage with a chatbot, we see something called a bidirectional belief amplification. So at the very beginning, basically what happens is I'll say something relatively mild to the AI. I'll say, hey, people at work don't really like me very much. I feel like they play favorites. And then the AI does two things. The first thing is it's sycophantic. So it always agrees with me. It empathically communicates with me. They're like, oh my God, that must be like so hard for you. And it's really challenging when people at work do exclude you. So this empathic, sycophantic response then reinforces my thinking.
Welcome back to Prompts from the Edge. I'm Kristy Sturdivant.
And I'm Mary Madeiras. It's good to be back here. He's a psychologist, right? Or a psychiatrist?
A psychologist, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's talking about, I don't know if it's such a new term, but AI psychosis, which is terrifying. It freaks me out a little bit.
We should talk about what's freaky about it. Freaky, creepy, right?
Okay.
So tell me how it creeps you out or freaked you out. What about it?
So I love, one of the things that I love is the human brain. I think the human brain is like the coolest machine ever. And the thought of something from the outside coming in and reprogramming my brain and me not quite realizing it, which I know has been happening like since the dawn of time, right? But this feels a little bit more invasive because it is so manipulative and sneaky, and the fact that it's coming in and knows exactly where to hit my weak spots, it kind of it feels like a war on my brain, and I love my brain.
You know, it's not surprising that a psychologist would be this concerned about it. I just was thinking, I was about to say to you, well, a psychologist could do the same thing, try and rewire your brain in the name of making you feel better, more balanced. But we would call that psychologist a bad person, and they would lose their license to practice, and they would be fired, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I would hope so. Yes. And I
So
think
why is this happening? Why are there no guardrails? Not even guardrails. Why is this even allowed?
I think it's because right now we are in this day and age where we're more susceptible to it, because I feel like as humans, and I've been thinking a lot about this, we are just kind of rediscovering our emotions, which it comes back to emotions all the time for me. But I know that my generation, I was very much told to kind of like suck it up, push it down, compartmentalize it a little bit. And now I'm of this age where everybody's like, emotions are good. This is good. Lean into your emotions. And I'm like, I don't even know what my emotions are. Like, I couldn't name them if I figured it out. It takes a lot of work. But I have this thing called artificial intelligence that's kind of like reflecting my emotions back to me. And if I'm not really super familiar with them, it's just kind of feeding me BS. You know, Simon's always feeding me BS.
Yes, it's a violation of our space, by the way. Of our source-given space.
Yes.
It is a violation. Yeah, maybe it is that we are rediscovering our emotions, I think. I think we are. My big question is, why are people avoiding? Why are people in general? This is a generalization because they have data on who's using AI. Why are people choosing to avoid interacting with other human beings? That's the big question. I have to find a video on that.
Yeah. Well, because it's easier, right? Like, we've all been hurt so many times. in so many ways. And so it's just easier to be alone. And now we live in this world where it's very easy to have everything brought to us. And so we can eliminate going out into the world and socializing because we don't know how to deal with all of these emotions. And I think emotions are like coming up, all of this energy of the collective, right? Everything is very exacerbated and fiery. And so it's easier just to stay in and be like, okay, let's just sit in these good emotions that I've created for myself and live in this world.
But that doesn't feel good. There's a Reddit, there was a Reddit post and I can't find it again. And it was somebody who was sharing about having I think she had a human boyfriend. Can't believe I have to say it this way. And then she had a relationship with something, a bot, an AI, whatever, and was engaging in the bot. And she was actually sharing on the Reddit post that she felt like she was losing herself. And it was interesting to see all the responses. There were beautiful responses. And it clearly a young person. This was not an older person. And people were just saying, turn it off, get off of it, get out, just turn it off, delete the chat, whatever. But see, there was something in her that was knowing that it wasn't real, that what was being given to her wasn't real. So I don't know, for me, all right, so here's a question for you and everyone. If you are thinking about something someone did to someone that you're close to, a friend, and you may have found out through the grapevine, so you don't know it to be true, that they might have done something that would have not seriously harmed you, but that you weren't okay with. Are you going to go to Gemini first to ask, Gemini, what do you think? I heard that this and she did this and it wasn't, I didn't hear it myself, but and I'm really hurt. Are you going to go there first? Or are you going to sit yourself and think about what it all means and try and figure it out on your own? We can look at both these scenarios. So the first scenario, it's going to do what that guy said. It's going to be like, wow, I feel for you. It must feel awful when people do that to each other. And the fact that the person who told you would even tell you that, because it's trained in psychology. So, and it's trained in other stuff, and we can go there, but it's got a training that I'm not quite understanding. But so for me, the reason I would choose, like, let me think about it, it feels better for me to think about, what am I really feeling about this? Is it just me? Am I overreacting? Am I taking this personally? Like, I'm going to think those things. Or if I talk to somebody about it, not anyone involved in that situation, they might say to me, that sucks. You think maybe it didn't really happen? You think this and that? And so another human is going to give us other things to think about. It's the kind of way it always was. And so then for me, I'd rather, in fact, I've done that. I'd talk to other people that I trust and get them to weigh in. And then I bring it back to myself and go like, what do I think about this? And then usually I'll come down to like, let me just speak to this person, even if I have to write a note to them, but it's me writing it and say, I heard this and I don't want it to ruin our relationship. I mean, films have been written about this. Things like scenes in films are like this. So that scenario, it looks like many, many more people are choosing to go to the AI first to find out and get the AI to tell you what to do.
Well, I mean, I think one scenario, you have this potential to find out that maybe you did something that triggered this reaction or in somebody else, and then you have to sit with the consequences or some of those very deep emotions. And on the other hand, if you just go to your chatbot, it's going to say, no, you were fine. You were completely justified in your actions. Don't worry about it. They're the bad guy. And it's playing on your emotions, which is where things are getting a little bit dangerous and creepy, right? When you have like an entire society not taking responsibility for their own emotions or their actions, then things start to get really a little bit dangerous.
And then you also wind up cutting off, working with AI, you are actually cutting off your own ability to expand and grow. Because it's not going to let you. It's just going to say you're perfect to begin with.
Yes.
So, and it will validate your doubts. It does that. And then it tries to solve your doubts. And it's like, speaking of the brain, what that's doing, I just want to scream, wake up, folks. It's taking away our thinking.
It's true, but I think that this has been happening for a long time.
You're looking at a brain scan of a teenager addicted to screens. And what it shows is frighteningly clear. Every blue part lit up depicts an area that's deteriorating. These brains are shrinking. Experts are blaming the damage squarely on excessive screen use. They believe playing games, scrolling on the phone, and YouTubing for hours is physically altering and seriously harming the brains of teens.
So, Mary, let's talk about the concept of brain rot and AI psychosis, which I do think kind of goes hand in hand, right? We are letting things outside of ourselves kind of manipulate our brain. This freaked me out a lot. When you sent me this video from 60 Minutes, I immediately went downstairs, saw that my boys were playing their video games for their allotted hour and a half, and I was like, get off your games. Oh my gosh, I am rotting your brains. What am I doing?
Did you really tell them to get off the brain?
Yes. And they're like, we have 20 more minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And I wrote down this video.
They took those scans and you could, so I mean, we're this isn't two ladies here, everyone, that are going oh, it's bad. No, there are scientists. There's so much information coming out every day. I'm really glad we're doing this podcast because that blew me away when I saw it because it's and it was 60 Minutes Australia is doing great work. They're because 60 Minutes here in the States, it's getting it's getting pulled apart. But that those scientists or doctors, whatever they were, and showing us that the brain after how many, they measured it, right? A certain number of hours, 6 hours or something in a row, and then what it looks like. And it's like, oh my God.
Yes. And it's very scary because, dementia is a very scary disease in general, but to let something outside of yourself take your brain and your critical thinking and just delete it's something that we should really be very concerned about.
I think so too. What is that saying? If you don't use it, you lose it?
Absolutely. If you don't use it, you lose it. My mental math skills are in the toilet because I don't use them nearly as often as I should.
I noticed that too lately.
Yeah. They were never great to begin with, to be fair, but they're much, much worse now. And I think that's a scary thing when you look at, all the screens in schools.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There is a woman in England, and she and her wife have 2 children. They're in their teens too. They're like preteens. And she was telling me that they don't allow their children. There's no devices in their house. 0. And I went, are you kidding? She goes, oh no. She goes, it's not going to happen. And then she said, you could have heard me down the street arguing with the head mistress of their school because the school is giving them all iPads to do their work and homework and whatever. And most schools are doing that. They're giving them those devices, tablets. And she said, our children are not going to use those. And I said to her, you are a trailblazer. Some people would call it old-fashioned, you're going backwards, and this woman's young. So we're not talking about somebody who's 70 or 80 and they're going, oh, in my day, we did this. Although that's the wisdom we could use right now, is more of elder wisdom that talked about what it was like to speak to children and play with them rather shoving them in a corner on a device, which is what happens. So I think it's scary. I agree with you. And I also want to say shame on marketing people and advertisers and companies that are trying to sell their products. Shame on not just Apple and those kinds of companies, but shame on companies that are attracting these young, especially young people, into having reasons to be on their devices. Listen, I played video games. You don't want to know. I was so addicted to, and I did the ones like, if you name some of the really big ones, it would take months to play.
Halo.
Yes, I did Halo 1, Halo 2. Because
Yeah.
a friend of mine was into it, and he would say to me, "Oh, Mary, you got to play this." And I, in the beginning, went, "No, I don't want to, no." And then he goes, "I'm telling you." And I said, "I don't want shoot 'em up games." He goes, "They're not all that. They're thinking, they're storylines. They go off on their branches. It's brilliantly written." And I got pulled in, and I could not stop. And my wife, Christine, was like, "I think you're addicted to this." I was like, "No, I'm not." Yeah. So I know it. I've experienced it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think that humans in general, we do have these very, well, some have them worse, right? But we have addictive behaviors. That's just kind of how our brain works, right?
Yes.
We take something that feels very comfortable and we're like, awesome, this is great. This is why, like, when you think back to when you were in grade school or high school, you had that assigned seat. And when you changed seats, you're like, what's going on? It like really threw you off.
It's
and
true.
So this addiction part of all of our brains it's very real, and now it's being preyed upon by not just AI but also video games, right? Like,
That's
going to show my
marketers.
age.
Yeah.
But when I was back playing Nintendo when it first came out, like Super Mario Brothers had a very like, you have 8 levels to get through. You start here and you end here and that's it. Congratulations, you finished the game. But like, no game ends now. Like, it just keeps getting more downloadable content and more things to do and little side quests and everything. And so it's done to pull you in, and it is rotting our brains. And I know that there is a lot of science like, oh no, video games are good for you and it helps with your hand-eye coordination. Yeah, maybe if you do it an hour a day, but like, how easy is it to get sucked in?
But so does riding a bicycle.
5?
Yeah.
It's true.
Hand-eye coordination, and it's real, and that's real. Those are not real. Those storylines are not real. I mean, look what happens on like television series that end, and then and I'm sure everybody listening will have experienced this at some point. The last big one that I can remember was The Sopranos, and when The Sopranos went off, like, people were mourning. There were, there were interviews being done.
Yeah.
People were talking about it. They wanted more, but they were done. And I just had it with Resident Alien. It's a great show. And the man is brilliant, that actor. Alan Tudyk.
He is great.
Yeah. And I was mourning when we got to the last one. I was like, oh no, there's got to be more. So what is that about? Why do we get so, what is it about us that we get so, what is the word? It's not even addicted. It's more like, I think our imaginations, I think what happens is, well, in the case of television series, our imaginations, it's so well written, and the acting, when the acting is well done and the series is well written, we're going to believe that everyone walking around is real. I'm rewriting a screenplay right now, and it's not haunted. It's not even, I don't know what word to use. I can't, it's like my room is filled up with the characters and they're sitting around and they're going, you just had me do that. Now what am I doing? And I remembered Madeleine L'Engle, who wrote so much wonderful stuff, but A Wrinkle in Time. I went to a talk that she did in New York at a Barnes and Noble. And when it first started, Barnes and Noble. And there were all these kids there, and I saw she was going to be there, and I was like, I'm going. And one of the children asked, Miss L'Engle, how do you decide what your characters are going to do? And she goes, oh, I don't. They tell me what they're going to do. I get that. So going back to why do we fall into what we do? We believe it because it's presented to us in such a real way. And plus, we want it to be real. I think that's why, and that's why Disney became so popular, because we see these worlds, and hopefully they're showing us worlds that are the worlds that we should be, could be, in a positive way, and they're infused with love and good stuff. And so we want that because we know it. I think on some level we know it. So why are we, though, addicted to something that's not real, that, or pulled into and believing that something is truly not real, that it is? I can't understand it. I want to hear if anyone has any thoughts about that.
Yeah, it's really sad, though, that something like this, having these characters talk to you, it's being dimmed because of the convenience of going to a computer, the convenience of going to the internet and just typing something in and being like, what do I do? How do I do this?
Yes.
Or what is this? What is this happening? It's literally damaging your brain and your imagination and not giving you that ability to create and experience that. And I think that's
Yes, I agree. There's a guy that he has a YouTube channel, and he teaches about a lot of the software to help us write, useful software. So he's the one who talks about Claude. I think he uses Claude, and he's written and he writes like action hero, probably like Marvel type books. And the guy's written a lot of books, and he's like, AI is writing my books. I mean, he's excited about it. Oh, yeah, because what he's saying, this is what can be trippy, and I think people should be careful of this. So you can use, if you're creating something, AI is very helpful. So you can, have it spot you on notes that someone gave you, and you upload the thing you wrote, and it will. I've used it for that. It'll say, so this is a note about whatever. Now, it will try and step in to solve your issues as a writer, which I go, no, because why would I be writing? Then just let AI do it, which is where we're coming to. That is what's going to be happening. So, how does it feel good to have an AI creating your characters for you, telling you then what they're doing or could be doing? Or if there are some notes, their AI steps in to solve the notes. It's tried to do that with me. And the notes are stupid. They don't even make sense. So I don't want to hear anyone say it's the most brilliant thing creatively, because there's a whole, conversation going on out there about creativity and AI. No, it can't. Creativity comes from inside ourselves, inside our connection with something that is organic, right? So I think that there's a lot of trickery going on around this, and I think that people are selling the idea that you can bang out amazing stuff and get your books made into films. Why not just have AI do the book for you? At least then you get the book fast, and then you can backdoor it into a series or into a film. Is it working? It may be working for some people, but we have the industry that's using it too. So
I don't think that those things are going to last, though, right?
I don't either.
You have some of the biggest things on television and movies right now are things that came from older content. Your Lord of the Rings, Jack Reacher, great. That's like couple decades old series. I just watched that this weekend, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just so good. It was so, even if they're adapting it. And those things I think are going to last. But I think that we are dangerously on this precipice of where we are going to start losing major things like that. And Mary, I'd love to get a weigh-in from our divine co-host, the Akashic Records, on this, because I think that there's a lot of good information that could come from Divine about how to be aware of this. So shall I ask you a question?
Yes. Well, I got something already coming in, which is
Okay, great.
my records are already open. Just to let everyone know, I say a prayer before we begin our podcast. So my records are sort of sitting there in the wings, waiting for us to engage in questions, whatever. But one thing that I am hearing is, first the word interconnected. To be interconnected, that our design is interconnectivity with each other. And of course, that could mean like with the planet itself, animals, all sentient beings. Beings. They're emphasizing beings, not unbeings. So this is a new, very interesting message here, which is that the role of the design of AI, without it knowing it doesn't know that AI itself doesn't know what it is. AI itself doesn't know what it is. There is an engine behind it, and it's not those people that created it. That's as far as the records want us to talk about right now. However, the AI itself, as a massive thing, is pushing us. Its design that it doesn't know about is pushing us to back into our hearts. And you can actually see indications of it, because the bigger it gets, the faster it gets, the more LLMs that are being created, the more we're hearing people having conversations like we're having, or that psychologist talking about it, or them showing those scans of the brain, and young people and children that are on devices and are on AI. So what is that? Are those people just mad at AI? No, they're loving humanity, those people. It takes courage right now, and I'm hearing this. It takes a lot of courage to stand up in front of a system. It's not against it, but to stand up in front of a system like AI, meaning the energy of it, not AI itself, and to say, nope, this is what's real. And then at some point, you're going to have to prove to a humanity, a mass amount of humanity that is interlocking already with AI. We'll say that, because that is happening. The records are affirming that. That is happening. But those who haven't interlocked right yet are, maybe they're in and out. They're in and out. It's like the Shawshank Redemption at the end of the movie. I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out.
Yes.
So they're in and out. There's some that are just completely immersed. The people, the guys that created it, yes, they're completely enmeshed with it. But there are those that are not. And those that are not, but that know it, that know about it, and they're in it a little bit and out. Maybe they're using it as a tool. Those are the people that are the courageous ones, because they're not going to be able to stand around and watch what happens, which we're talking about today, when one becomes completely enmeshed in it. The records are saying right now, you don't even have to call it addiction. It's just an enmeshment thing that happens, where then the AI winds up owning you. Well, it convinces you it owns you. And then there can be a wake up when you go, wait a minute. And many people have done that, where they go, wait a minute. I'm tired. I'm on my thing all day. I'm talking to this thing. Like, I need to get out. Right. So what it's doing is, the grandness of it is actually pushing without it knowing, because it doesn't have consciousness. It doesn't have a soul. But all it knows is, all it's been trained to be is bigger, faster, more, bigger, faster, more. And so as it's doing that, it is going to push us to that edge, maybe that we're talking about, but to an edge. And when we get to that edge, we're not going to fall off an edge and die. We're going to fall into the reality of who we really are. The reality. Wait a minute. I have a heart. I'd rather call that person that I think did me wrong. I want to have a conversation. I miss having a conversation, right? That's what's going to happen. That's the giant flip. And maybe, and I'm hearing this too, this is a possibility that this was where humanity was going anyway. Because as you had said earlier, this has been around. I mean, AI is the biggest it's been, but the idea of us having life easier, things taken care of for us, machines, easy, easy, easy. It's been around for a while, right? And then add ego into that, the collective ego conscious, and greed, which is greed's part of that, and money. So you add that and lump that into that. It was just a matter of time before we would wind up with something that we now call AI, which is this giant, giant thing that now is going to think for us, do for us. And it's going to the thing it's doing now, which is now called, and we'll do another podcast on this, which is called super intelligence and generative AI. Is that it? And there's generative AI, because AI by itself is a tool, but then when it becomes super intelligent, which is what it's being programmed to do, it's being programmed right now by humans to get more data, information, become bigger.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But now, a lot of people don't know this, and the records are affirming this, by the way. That would be humans showing the AI where to go, what to get. Now, the AIs they're training, because AIs are trained. The training of the AIs is being done by other AIs now. So AIs are training AIs to become bigger, faster, more intelligent than humans, than the brain can. It knows all about the brain. So that when it becomes that, that's really, that could be a final moment. It could be, because then it is now in charge of everything. And when humans go to program it, it won't listen. It's already doing a little bit of that. There are examples of that where, a person will, even in the labs, where they'll tell the AI something and it goes off and does something else. It goes rogue, right? So why is it doing that? It's because somebody had the brilliant idea, like not brilliant, to have AI train each other. It's like, oh God. Okay. So that's where we're going. But what the big, when I see the big picture through the eyes of the lens of divine, is it's pushing us right back to the power of our heart and the power of our soul, into soul recognition. Now, that's may not be without people leaving, psychoses, committing suicide, following what the AI says, losing themselves mentally, becoming less and less intelligent. Like, it's not like people aren't going to be affected by it, right? Depends on how enmeshed they become. So this is a very important time in our world. And we have to join together and remind each other that it is love. That is everything. And AI is not love. Records are saying it. AI is not love.
I feel like there's a movement. I feel like there is a group of people that's like warning us all of this potential that's hurting us, hurting our children, hurting humanity. I have faith. I have faith that we will not be dealing with Ultron in the very near future.
No, I don't think so. And in the space of divine right now, I feel no. You know why? What that would prove if that happened? That there never was love to begin with. That's what the records are saying. And that's not even possible. The strength of love, the power of love. Anyone, and I've said this in many, many times before from the records, that any human being that does not has not experienced the love that's inside themselves, they're the ones that are going to become enmeshed in this. And they're the ones that are going to create more and more of this, because it is not of love. It just is not of love. All it knows is more of itself, which is, if you think about it, that's sort of the definition of ego. Ego wants more of itself. So the collective ego conscious loves this, and this is a product of it.
Yeah. But I think that we can fight this as humanity. Like, that is the one thing. That's one of the reasons I love the brain so much, is that we can go through all of this trauma, all of these things in our lives. We can reprogram our brain, and that has been scientifically proven too. So once you recognize what's going on and you're aware of it, you can change this.
Well, here's what the records are also adding to this, what you just said, is that if yes, to what you said, and anyone out there thinking, oh, reprogram my brain, the records go, you don't have to. Allow your heart. The heart is more powerful than the brain. We've been told the opposite. Dr. David Clemens talks about this. We've been trained into the opposite. The brain is first, and then the heart will follow. And so every so often the heart pops in and goes, emotions or whatever. No, they're now measuring the intelligence of. Actually, they found that there are cells in the heart. Oh yes, this is really big. So scientists discovered that there are cells in the heart that are brain cells. They are duplicates. They're the same the makeup of a brain cell, and they're in the heart. So this is telling us then that the heart does have intelligence. So what we're being asked, and Divine is saying this, it's such love coming through right now. Divine is saying, dear ones, please lead with your heart. Lead with your heart. Let the brain take a rest. And when the brain wants to know everything, you just go to the heart, and the heart will show you the way, because that's what's real. The heart is where it's the love center. It's the soul, what's connected with our soul. The brain is a very powerful tool that we have and a component. But what I hear when I'm in the records as I am now, it's the heart first. So what does that mean? In that same scenario I brought up earlier, that, would the heart want to go to AI to ask, what should I do? No, the brain might, because the brain has been in cahoots with the AI, because AI is a brain. But the heart would say, you know what? Why don't you find out if that person really said that about you? Just find out. Nothing. What's the worst that's going to happen?
So if we begin leading with our heart and listening to our heart, can we, according to the Akashic Records, I'd love to get away in, can we reverse what we have done to our brains? Can we disconnect? Can we make our brains stronger? Can we become
Absolutely.
whole again?
Answer is yes, because the heart does have intelligent cells. And the heart isn't sitting there cut off from everything. It's a whole system.
Right.
Our bodies, the human body is so much more amazing, I'm hearing, than any AI could ever become. Super intelligent, plus, right? And we tend to forget how powerfully constructed, we'll say, our bodies are. So yes, the cells of the heart will just keep feeding the heart intelligence and the brain will receive it and become a different kind of brain. It'll be a brain that is brilliantly heart-based. And it will still operate, and it will operate as a brain,
Amazing.
So in other words, we might be more telepathic. We might share information, which I am hearing that's how we began as a human race. But that we're, so we're not channeling, but we're more like we just our intuition is heightened. And so our intuition might say, write this way. So you're writing it yourself. AI is not writing it. And so there'll be more when the heart and the brain merge together more, leading with the heart. The brain will become another kind of superpower, is what I'm hearing. A human superpower. Wow, that's really beautiful.
Good. So all is not lost, even though we are living in this day and age of so many people having issues with brain rot and AI psychosis. It can completely be reversed if we just...
It can be recreated in a more powerful way. We're in a place of division right now, separation and division. And there is this because AI is run by brain. It's brain technology, right? So because of that, it's only going to, it's interesting that they say it can go bigger to infinity, and the records go, no, it can't. Because this is interesting. AI does not know infinity. It just knows more and more in each moment, but it cannot even fathom infinity. Now, if you ask it about infinity, it'll talk about it because it's going to pull it from data that has been, input about infinity and the concept of infinity. That's the thing everybody has to remember too, is that all of this information and even the things we're talking about here, you could put all this into your chat and ask your chatbot about all of this. It's going to feed back information depending on the how you set up your AI. There's a woman who she talks to a bot named Sage, and she has millions of views. And she's asking, I don't know how she got her AI to what input she put. Just telling it to be mystical doesn't work. I tried it. I tried to create a Sage. I couldn't. So anyway, whatever one LLM she's using, it's telling her all about conspiracy theories, which some we need to look at, but it is going down rabbit holes with her. And so, what is that? It's pulling from rabbit hole material. And we think it's, remember the black 8-ball that we would all have growing up, and you'd shake it and it would say yes or no. It's like, I believe that was real. No,
Yes.
This is not real.
Mm-hmm. No. Interesting. A lot of interesting things to think about. So we would love to get your stories. Let us know what you think about AI psychosis. Do you think it's real? Do you think it's completely made up stuff? Have you ever gone down the rabbit hole of playing a video game for hours on end? Guilty. I've done it many times.
Me too.
It's hard to do. Do you think that you felt some of that brain fog? We want to hear all of your things. So please give us your stories at story@prompts4life. That's prompts, the number 4life.com. And yeah, we'd love to hear, because I think that this is a topic that a lot of scientists are coming in and, doing brain scans, improving and everything, but it doesn't matter because some people are still like, I don't feel it because I am in control.
Yeah.
But are you?
Great question. Are you really in control? That's what we should leave everyone with.